think we'll swing down this back road, pull up, and I'll tell you three things, or the top three features I like about this great little bike, the 2020 Honda Hunter CT125. This is a nice little area, nice sunny day here in Australia, 20 odd degrees, just near a run of fruit crops here, so nice place to stop. So I think we'll swing up into this scrub here. Looks a good place. Straight up here, which will be out of the way. Look at that. Flies up here like a little trooper. No one around either. One thing about the Australian bush, plenty of places to ride. In fact, I might do a lap around here, just see what's going on, and then swing back to that spot for a bit of a yak. Just go through here, see what's about. Hi guys, thanks for tuning into the channel today, and we'll have a look at the three key features to this 2020 Honda Hunter CT125, also known as the Honda Trails, or numerous names, whatever part of the world you're in. They've had this bike now for roughly a month. It's put up with something like 500 kilometres, and I've had 500 trouble-free kilometres. I think when you look at it, the top three features on this particular bike I like are: number one, the fuel injection system. And what I like about fuel injection systems is this particular bike has got a nice little fuel injection system, and the best thing about it, you can press that button, it'll start first time every time. And so far I haven't been let down with any bad starting or anything like that. It has got a slight bit of surging which carries on with to do with the throttling of this bike, but I think that's a problem with all the new 2020 model bikes, or going back in the last 2 or 3 years, where they're struggling to meet Euro compliance and they're a bit miserable on the fueling on these bikes to make sure they comply with everything. But the best thing about a fuel injected bike, in most cases, you can just come over, turn that key and press that starter button and off it goes. And another, talking of starter buttons, if you're not too keen to hit that starter button, you can always hit this bike on the Kickstarter, and this little bike will kick over first time every time with that Kickstarter too. So it does a good job whether you're going for the press button or the other, so you won't be let down by that. Though overall that's a good feature to have, and I think that's one of the ones I like the best, because I have had experience with the odd carby bike, and sure, they're alright when they're brand new, but they are a bit of a problem long term. And as a rule with the bikes I've had with fuel injection, I really haven't had any problem with fuel injected bikes. So it goes back to the days when you had a lot to do with carburetor type cars. They were a problem too, maybe easier to fix if something went wrong, but once fuel injected cars come along, they just left the old carby cars for dead. Well, that was my thoughts there. I think that's one of the number one features I like about this bike. Okay, the second best feature of the bike is how well, for an 8 horsepower machine, it's which isn't much, 8 horsepower is fairly miserable, that's how well this little bike can pull you along. So if you look at it for 8 horsepower, it's got its main power in the first 3 gears, and in those first 3 gears that little bike will push you up to 80 kilometres an hour pretty quick. So it's really around town, you know, like it'll keep up with the traffic, run along with the cars, actually beat the cars on pickup. It'll sort of surprise you how well it'll get off the mark. Once you get out along the road, it'll jump up to 80 kilometres an hour pretty quick, and it'll cruise along that in that area too, so you know it handles that. Now the big surprise is when you put another person on the back and you're pulling, say, 300 pound total weight, the bike still runs along as good with 300 pound on it as what it does with just yourself on it. And I found that out quite, you know, by chance when the wife decided she wanted to come for a run for the first time, and I took her out into the paddocks there, and she I sat on the pillar there in the back at that stage, and we took her for a run, and she enjoyed it, and it seemed to make not much difference to it, because it appears all that pulling power or torque is down in those lower gears, and I could run around those paddocks on the flats with her on the back there, 40 kilometres an hour, 45, one stage 50, and then when you get into the rough hill climbing, that first gear would pull really steep hills where you would expect you're very close to have that front wheel lift. So if you look at it that way, it really handled all conditions out there that would surprise you how well it goes, and at the same time still deliver pretty good fuel economy. And when you talk fuel economy with this, I actually managed in the running stage 60 kilometres to the litre, which is a huge amount of litres in anyone's language. So, you know, when you look at it that way, it's a really good package and it does everything right. Now, when I did run it at 300 pound total weight on the bike in there with a bit of gear, the rear suspension handled it all right, the brakes handled it right, and the whole bike was, you know, good in that line. It's no sort of motocross bike where you get in there and you can pound it through those stigs and do everything like that, but it's more like a tortoise, you know, like a slow and steady bike where you can get in, win the race that way, and get there and know you're going to go in and you're going to get back. So if you keep that in mind, if you're buying this sort of a bike, you'll be there for the long haul, just not for the quick run. Now, another good key feature of this bike is it's got a really good ABS braking system, but the ABS braking system only actually works on the front wheel, although it does have rear disc too. Now, what I actually like about this ABS is when I first got the bike, it was a little bit woody, and when you apply them, it was a little bit dead, no feel to it, and I thought to myself, well, I've had better ABS brakes than this one, and that was in the first 200 kilometres it sort of felt like that. But from say 200 to 500 it's livened up a bit, and now when you apply the brakes, it doesn't matter whether you apply it on the blacktop or whether you apply it out there in the paddock in the dirt or going down a steep hill or anything. These brakes will pull you up really nice, and they always under the control, so you when you apply them, the bike never goes out of control or slides or anything like that. You can apply them at 80 kilometres an hour really hard on the seal, and you can apply them fairly hard on the dirt, and not once I've ever had them slip out on me. So once again, this is one of the key features of the three I picked as the best features on this bike, and if you were buying this as a learner bike, you'd be very happy with this feature alone, because I think it'd be a really good example for somebody just coming into a bike, and if they sort of panic and go for that front disc, they'll have no trouble with it whatsoever, because it's a very safe brake. So overall, those are the three key features which impressed me the most on the bike, and I was pretty happy with those. A couple of other things I should point out which are also a good plus with this little bike is I did one test where I totally removed the battery from the bike itself to see if it would start via the Kickstarter, and much to my surprise, you could just go over to it and kick it over, and it kicked over first go, which was a big, like I said, big surprise to me. And I thought maybe that was just more of a fluke, so I turned the ignition off, come back inside, got my camera, come back out again, turned the ignition back on, kicked her over again, and the bike started again, first go. So that gives you an idea. If you're out in the paddock and you get a flat battery or anything like that, you know this little bike won't let you down, and you'll still get home in good condition. Or more importantly, you're not leaving it there. One other thing I might add to it too, I took this bike out for the first time at night, and I thought I'd try out the LED headlight. Somebody asked me what it'd be like to ride it around town at night time with it on, so I thought I'd take her out, and the opinion was there that the LED headlight was nice and white and adequate for riding around at night time. So I thought I'll take it a bit further and I'll go for a run out along the road and push her up to 80 kilometres an hour and see how she performs there. So I ran it up to 80 kilometres an hour, no trouble whatsoever. If there would have been any grey jumpers or kangaroos on the side of the road eating or munching away, I would have had no trouble seeing them whatsoever. So overall, the end result was a good all-round headlight, and compared to some what I've actually seen in cars, I thought this for a one headlight machine equals some what you see in cars with two headlights, so I was pretty impressed with how the headlight performed. Somebody just asked me could I bump start it in first gear, so there's the answer to that one. All good. While we're at it, you might notice this bike's running a few accessories. I'm running the rear 5 litre gas tank mounted on. I've got the central rack there which has just been fitted. It's got the highly extension mudguard, so we got that on it too. I've got the old tradition there, you've got the milk crate on the back, so it's sitting up there. As far as things go, that's sort of comes in handy for throwing a bit of rubbish in. We've got the rear pillion seat now for the wife in case she wants something, a more comfortable ride. So, you know, overall we've got all the goodies on this bike at the moment. A couple of other ones, I've still got a couple coming for it. So looks like I've got my front mudguard now sorted out, including that dint I put in it. Well, I actually never put it in myself, but the mudguard had a little bit of help from the horn. But overall, I've been pretty happy with how things have been going with this bike. Now once again, if you think this has been interesting to you, you may consider giving it a thumbs up, or if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you might even think about doing that too. So once again, thanks for tuning in, taking a look, and I will catch up with you at a later date with another video, and hope you enjoyed this. Bye for now.